What's going on, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to properly structure your team with virtual assistants. Stay tuned for this one. So as most of you guys know, properly structuring and building out a 6, 7, or 8-figure store isn't easy, and typically you can't just do it by yourself. So that's why in today's video I'm going to show you guys how you can properly structure out a team of trusted virtual assistants until you get to the point until you can hire your full-time staff or whatever else you envision going on with your brand. So I'm about to hop into my computer and show you guys a few of the things that I look for right before I hire any virtual assistant, a few little tips and tricks just to make sure you're hiring the most efficient people, and how to remove just about any questions or any of the if, ands, or buts when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant. Let me hop on my laptop and I'm going to show you guys how I do that. Alrighty, guys. So here is an old posting that I had. I typically don't hire too many freelancers as much anymore. I have a really structured team as of right now, so I usually don't add too many more additions, at least definitely not for the e-commerce side. So here is an old job posting that I used a while ago. You can see everything, so the e-commerce virtual assistant. So if you were ever making a job posting on Upwork, you could just put e-commerce, Shopify, VA, virtual assistant, a helper, whatever you want to call it. You can put this stuff on here, and then people will be able to find your job posting from here. Now again, a lot of this stuff I personally don't think is very important. I think the only piece that really matters is right over here, the actual text and what you're saying to the people who are helping you out. So it's right off the top, I just go straight into it. I need you to help me automate my e-commerce store. So I need them to understand that the job that they'll be doing is the virtual assistant job, which is probably the one that most of you guys will need done, is automating emails, doing customer support, ordering products, pretty much everything else that's not the marketing side, so that I can fully focus on scaling out my store, and then they would be sort of the backbone or the structure of that allows me to scale out this store. So it'll mostly require jobs, so everything I just mentioned: posting on social media, editing content, so little Photoshop work, generating reports, so P&L sheets, product importing, so all of that cool stuff through Overload. I'm looking for someone with lots of time to help free up my time. I don't want the person this job will be easy. To be completely honest, I'm pretty sure a 10-year-old can do this job, but I want to make sure that people don't think that it's kind of one of those sleeper jobs where they can just mess around with it and run up the clock on your hours, because you are paying them on an hourly rate. So you want to make sure that they're being very efficient with their time. So pretty much my store, a little bit more information of the store, but this is again where I feel another one of the most important part is that having the Grammarly Chrome plugin for all writing tasks is an absolute requirement for all of my VAs. Anybody that works for my team pretty much has to have this plugin, just because when it comes to people, we probably won't be hiring people in the US, so English typically isn't their first language. I want to make sure that every comma, every punctuation, there aren't any typos, because you want your brand to always come off as professional as humanly possible, and the Grammarly Chrome plugin just usually helps that. Generate weekly reports on the P&L sheet. Typically I do it daily reports, but weekly reports work really fine too. Managing emails. So this is the one thing I absolutely hate, is managing emails. Seriously, guys, if you're spending all of your time managing your emails, you will never ever get done marketing, because there are countless people who will never buy from your brand that will send you a ton of emails about absolutely frivolous stuff that has nothing to do with you actually growing out your dropshipping store. Ordering products, obviously. Responding to PayPal chargebacks. Now that's one of those things you typically have to train a VA on how to do. It's not very hard, but when it comes to winning and responding to those PayPal chargebacks, as a matter of fact, I might make a video about it, just because it's a little trick to it. Pretty much you always want to include a tracking number to it, to to your PayPal chargeback, along with any other communication you've ever had with the customer. And then it's really, really hard to lose at least a PayPal chargeback. They're very, very in favor of the seller at PayPal. So I know a lot of people have really bad experiences with PayPal. I've very, very, very rarely had any bad experiences because I'm extremely transparent with them. So I might make like a little video about, I guess, PayPal hacks or how to make sure your PayPal stands in good standing, or like generating CSV files. So like that, for example, was whenever I was drop shipping a whole lot more. Now I structure my brands a little bit differently, but I would send 100 orders that I would get in a day. I would download, so export the CSV file, import it through email to my supplier, and then my supplier would pretty much fulfill out all of those orders. That was one of the ways that I stayed like extremely competitive for one of my products, because I had pretty much 3-day US shipping. I was still drop shipping, but I just found a supplier inside the US that could help me fulfill my orders. So like whatever it is that you want your VA to do, you will put in here, and you want to make sure to over explain everything you're doing. If it's something that's very important, you want to make sure to explain it twice. Just because you always want to make sure that your VA doesn't have any questions when it comes to anything that they have going on. One of my like little tips and tricks is make blue the first word in your cover letter. I know it might seem like a little like weird, but pretty much I type a really, really long paragraph randomly in the middle. I put a random color, or like put dog as the first word or whatever. What typically happens is that if they see that you're a high paying VA, or that you have like tons of other VAs and you like actually spend money, usually you'll get a lot of responses to your particular job posting. This will help you filter out your job postings, because I've had job postings where I posted it and then like the next day I had like 30 people to choose from. And it's really hard to choose from 30 people, especially when all of their bios look exactly the same. So pretty much what I do is I tell them to make blue the first word in your cover letter. So like whenever I'm going through, and I'll show you guys this in just a second, you can see like, hey, this person pays extreme attention to detail, because I personally wouldn't want to read all of this, but I want to make sure that you do, because if a customer is saying something and they're coming to you with a complaint, I need you to pay as much attention to detail as you can, to make sure everything gets probably solved out in the most efficient way possible. And then after you're done typing out whatever it is that you need, I always make sure to include please post like 5 to 6 sentences and tell me about your area's expertise. This is me really trying to get to know them as a person, because to be completely honest, you don't really need anybody with extreme expertise in order to do all of this stuff. It doesn't take very hard to do it, and because it's such common knowledge now, everybody typically knows how to do it. Usually I'm trying to figure out how are they as a person, like are they trustworthy? Like in some cases they'll have my VAs will have my credit card information. So like I want to make sure that you're not running off and stealing money from me. So I try to like do as much screening as I possibly can in the beginning. And then this is like some of the frivolous stuff, but how many hours do they plan on working per week? How long is the project gonna be? What's the entry level? All of this stuff is right here. Again, not really important, but it sometimes help a VA whenever they're trying to apply to your job posting. And then these are just like some screening questions. I always include this one right here. This will be different between you getting hired for the job or not. How will you be able to increase the efficiency of my business? Typically, this is like the final straw when it comes to me trying to figure out like who it is I want to hire, is how they answer this question. Like, how can you sell yourself, pretty much? And long story short, how can you, if I'm paying you money, what is it that you're going to deliver me in order for me to like actually pay you this money? So here are just a few of the job posters I got. I think for this one I only got like 4, and I will explain to you which ones are typically good and which ones are typically not that great. So I think these are all of them right here. So off the rip, I typically always ignore the most expensive ones. So like, let's say these for $10 an hour, I will almost always ignore those. And another rule of thumb is that you always want to look at where these people are coming from. So if they're from India, so they're Indian, you typically have to think, okay, if they're Indian, then English probably isn't their first language. Now, again, English doesn't have to be their first language, but you want to make sure that they can actually write very, very well in English. And another thing that you want to look at, just straight off the top, is how much they've earned. So $5,000 earned, and then over 1,000 hours worked on Upwork. That shows that they have like a proven check rate. So typically, you want somebody with a low hourly rate, with a low hourly rate, and then an extremely high amount of money earned through Upwork. That means that they're a good worker, or else people wouldn't keep hiring them. And you want them to be extremely proficient at English. So that's typically, you'll see like a correlation between that. So like $5 an hour for someone who hasn't worked very much on Upwork. Sometimes it's okay to take this risk, but with the 80% job success, I typically wouldn't take the risk. But let's say if you're working on a budget, build a very, very, very close relationship with this person. You can show them how to automate your tasks, probably no problem. And then, so off the top, I would probably send a message over to this person, or definitely check out their cover letter. Most of this part right here is like copy and pasted, so I skim through it, but I usually don't read it. They all say that they have like several years of experience in everything that you ask for. Typically, I look at the things that I was asking for, so I believe I can increase the efficiency of your business by whatever. Along with that, their punctuations. So I'm literally looking at everything, making sure that what they're typing is in proper and not broken English, because they're more than likely going to be communicating with your customers. I look at like absolutely all of this stuff, and typically I make the decision on somewhat of a gut feeling, but it also has to do with their hourly rate, how much they've already earned, their proficiency in English, sometimes their job success rate, and then every now and again, if I'm having a really, really hard time figuring out which VA to respond to, I'll send them a message back and forth about any questions I want to know, like, hey, where are you from, or how did you get interested in drop shipping, whatever it is that I feel like I need to know to get to know them better as a person, is typically what I do. So, long story short, guys, this is how you pretty much hire your VA. In the event that you did want to hire a VA, click this button. I think there should be a big green button, hire freelancer, and then you guys negotiate a contract, negotiate the price for everything, and there you go. You just hired the first person on your team. All right, I really hope you guys found some value out of this video. If you did, then please drop a like down below in the video. If you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below, or just shoot me a message on Instagram. Whichever one feels better for you. But regardless, thank you guys so much for loving and supporting my channel up until this far. Hope to see you guys soon.